Welcome to On the Air, your #1 source for reviews on television as for by me, Brandon Britt, because my opinion's the only one that matters. That's why I'm the host. Today I will be reviewing one of the most infamous moves in television history, See and Reel. Often referred to as the dark ages of Cartoon Network, See and Reel was a block of reality television that the beloved network aired in 2009. These shows are often regarded as terrible, and it nearly ruined Cartoon Network. But were these shows really as awful as everybody says? Or were they just unfortunate in being placed on a network for cartoons? Let's take a look. The first show on the list is The Othersiders, a show where teens just like you or me go to supposedly haunted places and try to prove or disprove it's haunted. There's not really much to say about this show. It's a ghost show like any other. Watch Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, or this, and you won't get very many differences. Othersiders had the typical members, the skeptical leader, the girls that get easily scared, and the two other people that nobody remembers. The show actually tries to push it to make it seem like it's all legit, although it really doesn't convince me. If you want a ghost show, watch Ghost Adventures. It's hilarious how seriously those guys take it themselves. The Othersiders is a completely average show. Survive This is the next show from the block. This show took 8 kids from various backgrounds and put them in the wilderness to survive. The show was highly criticized for exploiting these children, putting them in stressful situations for the enjoyment of others. Aside from that, the show wasn't really too original, just another Survivorman TV show, hosted by Les Strauss from Survivorman. Coincidence? No, the show was his idea. It also had a bit of Survivor thrown in. The teens would leave if they got the choice. What I disliked most about the show was that in the first episode, 3 of the kids dropped out of the show. 3! And with less kids in the show, it gets kind of boring, just following the same people around. And 13 episodes isn't enough for us to really get to know them. It really doesn't do much of anything new besides throwing kids into the wild instead of adults. Next in the lineup is Brain Rush. This was a game show where contestants answered questions while riding roller coasters. It took place at Knott's Berry Farm. This was one of the better shows on the block in my opinion. Being a roller coaster enthusiast, I was really into the show. It combined the fun of trying to answer the questions yourself with the hilarity of the contestants' reactions while riding the ride. The main problem with the show, though, was that it was always at Knott's Berry Farm. It got kind of boring seeing the same coasters for the 6 weeks the show lasted. Yes, only 6 weeks. This was one of the shortest lasting shows on the network, which I understand, but I think it could have done better with another network. Destroy Build Destroy was one of the longest running shows on See and Reel. It was another competition show where the teams destroyed each other's vehicles, used the remains to build something, then used them in a final competition for a $15,000 reward, $5,000 for each player. There was a handicap competition in the middle of the show where the winner could do something to hinder the opposing team's progress. This show was actually pretty entertaining, which is probably why it lasted for 4 seasons. The games they played for the handicap and final challenge were pretty fun, and the explosions were cool too. They'd occasionally put a spin on teams like boys versus girls or parents versus kids. And they'd also sometimes have sports celebrities on the teams, like monster truck drivers Dennis Anderson and Tom Ince, or WWE superstars John Morrison and The Miz. This is a show I think would have thrived if it had not been on Cartoon Network. Along with Destroy Build Destroy, Dude What Would Happen was another of the longest running programs on See and Reel. It was a bit like Mythbusters. 3 friends come up with some random thing to do, hypothesize what would happen, and test it. One question I have is, why did this last so long? Not that it was really a bad show, it could be funny and they did do a lot of cool things, but a lot of the times the hosts were kind of obnoxious. They were always like, oh man, that's so cool, we're so cool. Let's make something explode. It would appeal to kids though. This show probably would have fit Nickelodeon better. Finally, there was Bobby Says. This is probably the worst show to air on the block. It was just Tosh.0 but for kids and without any skits, and nowhere near as funny. Bobby was really obnoxious and annoying, and besides that, one episode he showed a contestant from Brain Rush freaking out on a roller coaster. Really? You could not find anything else from the internet? The ultimate database for people doing stupid things? You had to take footage from another show to fill your 22 minutes? This show stunk and it would not have made it anywhere else. So was The Block the absolute worst thing ever in the history of the universe that nearly caused the end of the world? No. These shows were, for the most part, average. Some could have done really well on some other channel. So why didn't it work for Cartoon Network? Well, that's simple. It's Cartoon Network. The channel was made for cartoons. It was made to show off this medium and display how great it was. Putting a bunch of live action shows, reality shows for that matter, was disgraceful to what the channel was. Not only that, but a lot of the shows they had on the channel were canceled for this. I'm just thankful that they went back to cartoons. That's it for this episode. We'll see you next time.